Hey, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Level Playing Field podcast. It's Super Bowl week, and we're going to talk about everything that the big game has to offer. What the economic effects of that are, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the whole thing, and what other big sporting events have to do when you get to the championship level of. We got the Olympics going on as well. We got the World Cup coming to America in a couple years, and now, but first and foremost, it's the Super Bowl. So, Dennis, tell me about it.
I will tell you, Andrew, the good and the bad and the ugly, the old Clint Eastwood Western. Man, listen, what a good, I would say great thing for these young athletes, man. They grew as young athletes, from Little League, Pop Warner, football. I want to give Pop Warner a heads up. He's a Pitt guy. Pop Warner, he's a coach at the University of Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
I gotta get that in. But from Pop Warner, these kids, man, they develop skills. Their parents, wow, the sacrifice. Like we talk about, Andrew, in all of our shows, man. That is the beauty of athletics: the sacrifice, the friendships, the becoming and growing in athletics, and being able to take your skill level up to this point where they're now playing for, the NFL's biggest game called the Super Bowl. This is the game that everybody prays and wishes and hopes that they're going to get to one day. So we have, 100 plus players, their families, their brothers, their sisters, everybody. And that's the thing, like even with that, we talked about your friend's son who's a soccer player who's going on a club. He's 8 or 9 years old. This is what we're talking about the great American experience. So for 100 plus men, and their wives, their moms, their dads, all of them, man, and their community, their coaches. Their coaches are
I was just going to
involved.
say that.
Yeah,
I
all
was
their
just going to say that the
coaches.
communities as well.
Yeah, yeah,
The communities as well, because even like last year with Saquon with the Eagles, there was a buzz around the valley just because like we had multiple guys with Jahan Dotson and Saquon on the team that are like, we could win a Super Bowl. That's amazing to have that level of accomplishment come out of your local guys and your local talent is
of course,
it's galvanizing not only and the fact that they did it for the Eagles, but it's galvanizing for the whole community.
and the alumni where the colleges they play at and the high school. So I was going up the ladder. I started with Pop Warner. So if you go up the ladder to middle school, high school, all those coaches, all those kids that play with them, it only
Mhm.
sounds like 100 plus men that are going to be competing and part of the team with the development players and the guys that are on IR. So everybody is joining in that particular team, and it goes all the way back to the little leagues, right? They go and then forward through middle school, through high school, and then through college, where a lot of these guys, you got State College, biggest alumni in the country. With those two great local Lehigh Valley products, Pennsylvania products, it was huge, in the past. So that's the good.
Mhm.
The good is, man, all these families and sacrifices, even their ministers and their priests and their teachers, their school teachers, everybody's in, man. It's like, oh, they participated, they helped these particular young athletes and men become who they are today, right? So everybody's celebrating their churches where they went to church, and their youth groups and all their various participants across the board. So we look at that as a wow, what a blessing, what a great thing. And even I'm not too keen on patting the owners on the back. But even the owners and their families, they've sacrificed a lot. They're big investments. It's a great thing, a good thing for all of those particular individuals that are involved. And congratulations to them all, man. It's awesome, and that replicates across the World Cup, and replicates across the NBA championships and all the various championships, baseball, Major League Baseball, all of them. The same would apply, Andrew. That
Mhm.
these young men grew and came up the hard way. Most of them, you understand, sacrificing their parents, sacrificing taking them to practices in the rain, in the cold, in the snow, in all the elements, sacrificing financially to make sure that they could pay the fees and costs associated with joining their teams and being part of their teams. These are big sacrifices that were made by their parents and by the community and their mentors. So many mentors, their coaches, their teachers, their ministers, their priests. Everyone's fired up. The friends. So it's a great thing in that manner. So that's a good thing. The other good thing that Andrew talked about is the economics, man, crazy economics. I mean, billions and billions of dollars, good dollars, some of it good dollars, are being generated from this particular game. Andrew, why don't you go over those numbers so everybody with the fans, so they know the economic impact.
So on average, like the host city over the last few years has generated somewhere around like $1.25 billion to their local economy, which is insane. It's an incredible number to bring into a city for all the bars and restaurants and hotels and everything that surround the game and surround the event that is Super Bowl week, 2 weeks leading up to the game. And that what's crazy though, and this kind of like will dovetail into from the good to a little bit of the bad, is how much money like individuals are spending. It says that individuals are spending going to the game in excess of $5,500 per person to go to and do the Super Bowl scene, which that means buying the jerseys, the sweatshirts, all the gear and the stuff, and going to the hotels, because obviously everything's elevated, every price is elevated. You're going to an event, everyone's taking advantage of it. But on top of that, when you leave the host city, what you're looking at nationwide is about $18.6 billion in Super Bowl expenditures around the entire country. And that's outside of the two cities that are obviously fighting to win the Super Bowl. Now we're talking about the entire country. It's Super Bowl parties. You got to go to the grocery store and you got to get the Super Bowl cake. You got to get the chips. You got to get everything, the 7-layer dip, everything that goes into it. That's where, we fall into the consumerism portion of our program, exiting from like the actual benefit, economic benefit from the city. Now we're going into the consumer and over expenditure.
The over drinking, the overeating. If you look at the last 2 Super Bowl championships, in Kansas City there was murders and killing. In Philadelphia there was murders and killing. I mean, look, the bad, overspending. I mean, look, a lot of us, look, I participated in it. I have a large family, and I've gotten involved with that stupidity of the Super Bowl, and I've overspent. But here's the thing, you got to get a hold of yourself, man. So many of you are delusional, right? Especially in the cities of the two teams. I hated to see what happened in Philadelphia. I hated to see what happened in Kansas City. Then get a hold of yourselves and don't overdrink, don't overeat, don't overspend. Save your money. Save your money. And to be delusional and think that you partying and participating and doing and spending, they don't give a about you. Some of the players do. But the NFL in general is a money machine. All they want to do is suck it out of you. And that's something that you've all got to come to a reality on. All right, don't be delusional. Understand how this is some great stuff. You want to watch some great players, you young football players, parents of young football players. You want to put them in front of the screen and watch these talented men, man, get it on. It is big time stuff at the highest level, and that's all good to have your kids and your family members watch and participate in. If you're from the States or you're a fan of these teams, that's all good stuff. But man, don't buy that cake for $30 or $40 and eat it and get overweight. Do you understand? Don't do it, right? That simple of stuff. And then you extremists, man, to spend $5,000 to go into a community on a football event is pathetic. Do you understand? Save your money. Make your parents proud of you. Be conservative. Go and spend $1,500, not $5,000. For God's sake, save that money.
Hey guys, I really hope you're enjoying the show. Do me a favor real quick. look down. Are you guys subscribed? Because it really helps us out. We want to just keep bringing the best content we can to you guys every single week. All right, let's get back to the show. Really good. A really good example of what you're talking about is kind of how um, the balloon effect over the last 5, 10, 15 years of how the Super Bowl has turned into something completely different than it was in the early 2000s back into the 90s. And so over the course of, there's been 60 Super Bowls. So over the course of the 60 Super Bowls, the average number that is brought into the host city was $150 million. But as I just said, over the course of the last decade or so, the number is 1.25 billion. So when you look at that, we're talking about different sides of the scale here. From 150 million to 1.25 billion is almost like 9 times the amount, 10 times the amount of income coming in. So there's a level of just expenditure it's gone beyond what we grow up saying. We'll grow up like remembering in the Super Bowl, and you can say that because it's the old adage of people say, oh, you like I had people don't like to give their kids like the sugary snacks and everything, and they're like, oh, it's fine, I had it when I was a kid. It's not the same. There's so much more food coloring and dyes and processed sugars and ultra processed foods that are out there now. It's not the same. It's not the same amount of money. It's exponentially more. That cake is exponentially more unhealthy than it was in 1995 or in 2005. We've exponentially grown in every aspect of this, which allows that number, it's a true number right there, from 150 million to 1.25 billion. There's something in there in that middle ground. What caused that to happen? And it's the expenditure and the over consuming that our country has fallen into over the last 2 decades.
It's a big con, Andrew. It's such a big con, and that dopium in your brains. You want to think that, oh, you're part of it. Look, you're not part of it. Get a reality check, right? If you want to watch and have your kids check out these really talented football players and coaches, that's a great thing. But you don't need all of the garbage that comes with it. Do you understand? Don't drink, don't smoke, don't gamble. Now that's the next evil that has just totally grown since 2018, when these idiots, the Supreme Court, and that's the Trump Supreme Court, okay, legalize sports gambling in another 20 plus states. Okay, so now we have this exorbitant sports betting on this stupid football game. Do you understand? And I would tell you, it's excessive, Andrew. The numbers are just crazy, and that's only the recorded numbers. There's underground numbers. There's guys betting other guys, and all kind of stupidity going on. And we have a gambling epidemic in our country today because of this type of promotion and acceptance of gambling on sports. And it needs to be monitored, and if you look at people in their offices, they're doing these pick who's going to score first. They have all these sheets and these tally sheets that they have all this extra gambling going on from within their offices, and all, it's absurd of the amount of money that is and it's bad. Look, if you got somebody you want to bet them dinner, or you want to bet a couple bucks on it that you can afford, and you get something going there, I can't tell you, I can't tell you that I'm against it. Okay, it's a little entertaining, but man, it's just gone so extreme. You could bet on 1,000 different things, on the Super Bowl, and that's bad. That's just out and out bad. And the people who are watching it, you're not watching it because you want to enjoy some of the greatest athletes and some of the players and the coaches and their dreams being fulfilled, and the communities building up and putting together a winning franchise and a winning team. You're losing that and you're delusional again. So what happens is you spend your money on all this garbage, and I'm busting your chops here, okay? And I'm being truthful. And if you're not one of them, God bless you, okay? God bless you. But there's too many, so I'm not generalizing. Don't get mad at me and say, "Oh, what an idiot I am." That's not me, but I'm just telling you, you know somebody who I'm talking about. So go ahead and have a conversation with them about it. We all know somebody that I'm talking about, right? So you have to get control of yourselves and don't overspend. That's bad, right? Live within your means and don't gamble extravagantly and stupidity and get yourselves into a hole, Andrew.
All right, guys, let's take a second to talk about our friends over at Summit Web Search. The internet is a big place, and if you're running a business, just being online anymore isn't enough. You have to stand out from your competition. That's where the team at Summit Web Search comes in. They help businesses with digital marketing, web design, graphic design, but what really separates them is how they prepare companies for where things are going. With AI coming in and changing the way people search for information online, you have to stay ahead of the curve. Instead of guessing and chasing trends, Summit Web Search focuses on what makes your business show up where it actually matters, in front of the people that are going to spend money with you. You need to chase those people down who are already online looking for your product. Because in a world where visibility is everything, that's what being online is all about. It's being positioned to win day in and day out and get your clients the products that they want. So if you're ready to stop guessing and start getting found, check out Summit Web Search and let them help you level the playing field. All right, let's get back to the show. And then the other side, with all that said, we haven't even touched on the most famous part of the Super Bowl, the commercials. So now this year, actually, I'm sorry, I should say last year it cost $5.6 million for a 30-second ad.
Crazy.
So and there was $650 million in advertising generated just off of the commercials. So again, the numbers are so large. I don't even remember what year it was. I was probably like in high school, so maybe like 10, 15 years ago. I remember when the number hit like 2 million. Like $1 million for a 30-second ad, $2 million for a 30-second ad. I was like, that is insane money. That's crazy money. It's doubled. Just like everything else, it's doubled. So you just have to factor that into the next layer of
it. But who's paying for it? Who's paying for those commercials? The consumers, because all they do is up their prices on their products. Don't let anybody fool you.
That's it.
Or they lay off somebody because they ain't making enough profits, or because their stupid investment in a commercial didn't pay off for them. So then they got to lay people off because they failed in their marketing or advertising. And they were doing it to try to be prestigious and and they didn't have the audience, or people didn't buy. So let's lay off a couple hundred people because we overspent on our advertising. So ultimately the employees.
And I remember.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I remember couple, like within the last few years, I remember watching the Super Bowl, and like, of course, there's always one or two commercials that hit that are funny, that are topical, all of that. But I remember years ago, like there was more of a broad span of like every commercial was funny. They were topical. They were selling you something, but it was clever. It was original. And now it's like, yeah, there was like two that I liked. And there was two that made me laugh because they spend so much money on this stuff. And again, corporate everything gets in the way. So there's no more creativity anymore. But with that, it's just the overarching fact of just it's like you're spending money on nothing, and no one's getting the same return on investment that they once were. It's more of like this, again, legacy media, how do I spend my money the safest way humanly possible? But now that's turning into not the safest way possible because people are like, I don't even like it. It's not even, it doesn't even sell me anything. I'm watching it and it's just kind of like whatever.
And I promise you, some of the ads are going to be alcohol ads and gambling ads. and
Oh
drug
yeah.
ads,
Oh
of
yeah.
course, right?
Yep.
They're going to be right in the front row. But the baddest thing about this year's game is Bad Bunny, and I
Yeah.
would tell
Shifting
you
to
from a
ugly.
well, this is now we're going into the ugly, But Bad Bunny wearing a dress, it's going to liken us to the Olympic Open ceremonies, the last Olympics in France, where a bunch of freaks
Hmm.
came out and mocked our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And what happened was they had the lowest ratings. They had the lowest ratings, and it's the first Olympic I haven't watched. Being a former Olympian, I didn't watch it. I didn't
Hmm.
watch. It killed me not to, but I didn't watch it, and it's the worst our American wrestlers have done. We had a real bad Olympic, So we didn't have a one
Hmm.
gold medal in the Olympics. Our wrestling guys. So the
Yeah.
point is, they're turning into a freak show. So getting to move into the ugly. So they're gonna have Bad Bunny wear a dress. I believe that's what's going on, and
Hmm.
we people are going to think back and say, when did we have such a freak show like this? Oh, it was our last Olympic Games at the opening ceremony. So it's and of course it's in Los Angeles, it's in San Francisco. You corrected me
Hmm.
last week, but how about so what's in store for the Olympics in Los Angeles in 2 years? I mean, what do they have
Hmm.
planned? What freak show? What type of freakish event are they going to do to insult uh, the Christian and godly faithful in this great country that we live in? And that's why we have such great events. Getting back to the ugly,
Hmm.
Andrew. So and your your
Hmm.
your, your thoughts on that? Go ahead. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I mean, we kind of were talking about this before we started recording, and it kind of dawned on me that it's like the perfect dichotomy. The Super Bowl is the perfect dichotomy between the game and the halftime show. You have these guys who, after the game, what's the first thing they say? They won the Super Bowl. They're like, thanks to God, thank you to my teammates, thank you to everyone who got me here. Like they list off all the people, like so selfless and team. And when you're functioning at that high of a level, the peak level of sport at that moment, you are so in tune with your health and your body and your spirituality, and everything's driving through Christ and your team, and you're all together fighting for one common goal. And that's like juxtaposed to the halftime show, which is the exact opposite. It's the entertainment industry, which is all about, me, self, ego, sex, having the moment to myself. Like, for example, like the NFL putting Bad Bunny up there. They're doing it to literally make a spotlight. They wanted Spanish. They want a whole Spanish performance up there. That he's not going to speak in English at all, which is fine. But like, understand, like it's the direct opposite thing of what the sport of football is. Football is all about team, 11 people together, pushing in the same direction versus this guy who wants to stand out, be like stand alone, stand out, make a scene, and wear a dress, which is, listen, artistic creativity, whatever. But at the same time, they're just doing it for a reason. And you have to understand that. You have to understand that there's teams of people underneath him. It's not he woke up the other day and was like, I'm going to wear a dress. There are teams of people that are like, oh, this is going to make us so much money. This is going to make people online talk so much. Engagement, topical, trending, all those words that we all know and are using now on a day-to-day basis, living on the internet. That's what they're going for. And it's the perfect like sideshow to one thing is completely about team and selflessness and garnering like, the healthiest human beings on the planet versus the entertainment industry, which is the lowest of the low. It sells everyone out. How many times do we have to, hear about people coming out, singers, performers of any type, just being taken advantage of, pushed to their limits, touring, all that kind of stuff, drugs, sex, rock and roll, the whole thing. It's been going on for decades. We know this. And now it's at the point where, I mean, it's funny. It's funny how you can sit there and watch a game made for 11 people to pull in the one direction and be so like, faith centric. And on the other side, have an entertainment show that is literally the complete opposite. Again, great conversation for the day. Super Bowl week coming up. It's exciting, but also remember to check yourself when you're going to the grocery store. Don't buy the $30 cake. Don't eat all the sweets and sugars and everything. Calm yourself down. Root for the teams. It's all good, but keep yourself in check. All right. See you guys next time.